All right, what's up, everyone? This is Matt with Top Termite, and today I want to talk to real estate agents, and I want to talk to mainly at new real estate agents. If you're a new real estate agent, especially in Southern California, um, you may or may not be aware of the termite issues that we have here. Basically, Southern California is a hotbed for termites. One, it's a warm climate. Two, we're close to the ocean, so there's a lot of moisture. And with moisture comes termites. And they like to swarm during the hot seasons. Summer going into fall is their swarming season. And that's when they fly out and they look to start new colonies. And they fly into neighbors' houses. They try to find any exposed wood that they can. They get through vents. They get through windows, door cracks. They can even get through cracks in concrete slab. Having a basic knowledge of how termites operate and the type of damage that they can do can really benefit you as a real estate agent here in Southern California, whether you're in Los Angeles or Orange County or anywhere in between. We're a termite inspection company, and we primarily work with real estate agents. And for the most part, most of the agents that we work with, they're experienced. They've worked with us for a long time. We've been around for 30 years. They know the drill. They know how to appropriately talk to their clients about what to expect from a termite inspection. And occasionally we get a real estate agent who's working for a brokerage that we work with normally, but they're a new agent, and sometimes they're unsure of how inspection reports are going to come, what it means, and sometimes they get a little freaked out when we say, hey, we found termites and there's wood damage and there's subterranean termites and there's fungus rot. And when I start saying all these things, which is normal, it's based on every report, they kind of get wide-eyed and they don't know how to respond. And then the client senses that. And if the buyer's there, and the buyer, might get a little freaked out and start wondering, well, what's going on, and is this horrible news, and am I going to have to back out of the deal? And no. And so that's why we love when agents talk to the buyer ahead of time before we show up for the inspection and say, hey, we're getting a termite report done. Most likely you're going to have termites, but it's not a big deal. They can take care of the problem, but let's just see what they find. And so when you educate the buyer, it makes our job a lot easier as well. So we're kind of counting on the real estate agent to be on our team to properly prepare the buyer for what's to come. Because there's been many times when a person's buying a house in Los Angeles from another state, from across the country, they're coming from the East Coast or another area of the U.S. where termite reports aren't as prevalent when they're buying a home, and it's not something they really think about. So when they're at the day of the inspection, and I go to let them know what I found, and I start listing all the areas where I found termites, and you could just see the look on their face of like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Like, the house is gonna fall apart. I gotta cancel. I gotta, and they kind of freak out. And really, it's on me to educate the buyer and be like, no, look, it's okay. This is normal. 95% of houses we go into have termites. We can definitely treat it. We can fumigate. We can spot treat. We can do wood repairs. We can take care of all of it. And compared to, some other costs that have to do with your house, like plumbing or electrical, things like that, it's relatively inexpensive to treat for termites. And then they kind of calm down and they're like, okay. And then they look to the agent to support that claim, what I'm saying. And it's important for us to have agents that are knowledgeable so they can be like, yes, that is completely normal. What they found in the report, we see it all the time. It's nothing to really freak out over. Not say freak out, but nothing to lose sleep over. This is completely normal for transactions here in Los Angeles. It helps us to have agents that are experienced enough to know how to deal with these types of buyers. And a lot of times it's first-time buyers. Even if they're from Los Angeles, they may not ever think about termites until they go to buy their first home. They also might freak out and they're like, whoa, I didn't know termites was this much of an issue in Los Angeles. And all of a sudden they're thinking about it, and they're like, and they see the report of like, oh my gosh, there's termites in the sub area, there's termites in the attic, there's termites in the fascia board and rafter tails around the house. What are we going to do? Educate them, say, hey, it's normal. We'll take care of everything. We have the resources to do treatments everywhere on the house and take care of the issue. And if you're a new real estate agent, you really want to be aware of this going in. And that's why I say talk to the buyer beforehand, before the inspector starts listing off what they found after the inspection. Because the last thing you want is a buyer who suddenly gets cold feet and start panicking and starts to, form ideas in their own head about what this means, about having a bunch of termites and wood damage in your house means. It's happened. I've been on many inspections where the buyer is from out of state or their first time buyer, and they kind of lose it a little bit. And I've had some that panic and they're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can buy this. And it's like, well, let's slow down here. My job isn't to ruin the deal. My job is really to tell you everything that's going on in your house that has to do with termites and water damage and wood damage. I'm there to point all of that out to you so that you know what's going on and you can do the correct treatments and find the solutions to all of these findings. I'm not here to tell you to run and not buy this house. There have been very few times where, yes, the wood was completely destroyed and we have to say, look, the best option is to just tear this down and build something else, like a deck or something. I've said that the deck is completely rotted, and I'm just like, hey, you need to tear down this deck and rebuild it, because treating isn't going to really solve your issue here. You really need to get a new deck because it's not safe, or especially a balcony or railing. Those kind of things, I'm always going to say, hey, rebuild if it's bad enough. I'm not going to just treat it and leave it alone. Those can get quite expensive. Then you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in treatments and repairs, which I can understand. That's a big deal. But those are few and far between. For the most part, the termite treatment is manageable, whether it's fumigation or spot treatment. It's under, typically with everything involved with wood repair, fumigation, subterranean treatment, things like that, you're under $8,000. It's pretty rare that it goes up above that. It's either a very large house, which increases the cost substantially for fumigation, or there's tons of wood repair where we have to bring in a general contractor to actually do the work. So that raises the cost quite a bit, or it's like structural damage. But it's very rare where I go into like an attic or in a sub area and I see major damage to the structural integrity of the house, where I'm like, hey, this is a major issue. You need to get a general contractor here immediately to remedy this. No, but what we want to do is stop that from happening. We want to prevent termites eating the wood to the point where there is structural damage. And that's our job, is to call that out and make sure we do the treatments before it even gets to that point. So as a real estate agent, and you're new to this world of termites, you want to know, hey, yes, there's termites, but there's treatment options. And if we do the treatment, it's going to help protect your house in the long run. It's going to help protect your investment. And that's the best thing a buyer can hear. They want to know that the house that they're buying is going to still be around in 10, 20, 30 years. But you have to maintain it, right? You have to do upkeep, and you can't just leave it alone. Some people do elect to not even do the treatment for termites, and they just leave it alone, or they'll figure they'll get to it later at another time. But then it's like, okay, well, you're letting the termites do their thing. You're not stopping them from eating the wood, and then eventually you will have a major issue, which we want to prevent from ever happening. New real estate agents, really important that you have a basic knowledge of termites. Know that they're prevalent in Los Angeles and Orange County and elsewhere around Southern California. Know that most likely we're going to find termites. I mean, if they're a good inspector, like all the inspectors at Top Termite, we're going to find something. It's extremely rare where we don't. Um, and so set up the buyer with that expectation, or at least yourself. Make sure you have a conversation with the buyer, whether before the inspection, the day of the inspection, or at the inspection, before we start reading our findings at the end. Say, hey, this is the termite inspector. Um, they're looking for termites. Most likely they're going to find some, and they have all of the treatment options available to you, and they'll go through it with you. And so you're kind of setting them up for what I'm going to tell them, so that we're all on the same page. It's not a shock to them when they hear that I found termites all over the house, because the reality is there's going to be, most likely. So yeah, I hope that is informative to real estate agents. We want to be a resource for you guys, and we want to support you guys. Obviously, we want to help you close the deal, but we also our job is to give all of the information to the buyer so that they know exactly what's going on with their house when they buy it, and how to properly do the treatments and do the repairs. Because the last thing we want is to miss something, or not properly tell the customer, hey, this is what you need to do, and then down the line they have a major issue. That's the last thing we want. So yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to our website at toptermiteco.com to find out more information, and we're happy to support you guys. Thank you.